Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining the March issue of That's Cray Cray. I'm Jeff Finn, CEO at RealNex, and joined as always with Tim Cray, Head of Development here. Tim has a lot to share with you. The development team continues to do amazing work and build out the platform with great new tools to drive efficiency and performance for the platform. But obviously, we're all in very challenging times. The market cycles like this are painful, and there have been a few of them, different ways at different times, and they always come back stronger. The opportunity in a cycle like this is to hone systems, refine processes, build data, clean up your data, and take advantage of some of this time that you don't typically have in the go-go times of the market. So we appreciate you all joining, and hopefully you're all taking advantage of this opportunity. And obviously by joining us today, you are looking to make better use of the platform. So thank you for joining us. We are committed to continuing to provide outstanding support and technology and solutions for the industry. And that's Cray Cray is a terrific part of that, where we monthly provide updates on what's happening with the system to make sure you're aware of all the latest and greatest features, as well as share some tips and techniques that you can only learn from the master, Tim. And we've also added two new programs that we want you to take advantage of, particularly as you have the opportunity now. A new user group program that we've set in motion. We've had the first two sessions of those in a live webinar format. And those are recorded and available for you. We also have a Facebook user group that's been put in place, so please join that if you'd like, and we can share collectively wisdom and best practices across the user group, or pose questions, and the team will do its best to answer and interact, and throughout the days, weeks, and between live events, keep you posted with some valuable enhancements or ideas on how to make the most of the platform. And particularly during this social distancing time, at the remote workforce time, and the time we have at home where everyone's working from home, we're adding a couple of sessions. We'll see how long it plays out, but at least for the next few weeks, we've got a program called Brunch with Bobby. It's our take on a lunch and learn session, but Bobby Babis, who many of you know, will tee up a discussion on Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Eastern time, 9 Pacific, that will focus on one aspect of the platform. And next week, talking about cleaning up data, cleaning up your database, working on imports, and a number of features around that. But we'll also be there to answer questions. So as you're looking to work on your database, we'll be there to help you provide any level of support we can to enable you to advance the platform as much as possible. So we're doing what we can. The support team is fully engaged throughout the week. You can set appointments and schedule time with them as you need it. But these structured programs that we have are designed to bring even broader based efficiency and sharing of ideas that you might not have had. And then we can just bring you some tools and opportunities to improve the experience. So we are thankful that you're here, appreciate your support of RealNex. We'll do everything we can to support you and come out stronger, better, and brighter at the other side of this cycle. So Tim, help us kick it off today, and look forward to seeing all the great work that the team has done this past month.
Thanks, Jeff. Many of you don't know who I am, but I've been doing this since 1983. That's when I wrote REA. And it's just so fun to see the list of names that come into these things. Some of these people I've known forever. I appreciate you guys coming in and spending time with me, show you what's new, and talk a little bit about some of the things that I've learned over the years, many of them from people on this call right now. We went through this same sort of a thing in 2008, except it was a financial crash. This is not a financial crash. This is something that none of us expected, and it's nobody's fault, but it's not financial. When that financial crash happened, I was selling REA, pretty small, and everybody was in trouble. A lot of businesses collapsed, um, and a lot of people left brokerage. We took that time to build up our property databases, and I want to suggest that this is a good time for you to build up your property database. You have the product that can do it. RealNex CRM is really the only product that can do a property database and do it correctly. And if you haven't looked at the app yet, the app will let you just get out and take a picture of a building, and it'll add it to your database. It'll add the address of the building along with the photos that you take. So you can canvas your areas just by walking from one building to the next, taking a snapshot, and just keep going. And then that'll add all the buildings automatically. Then you can go back when you have time and fill in the information for the buildings. You own those photos, so you're not going to get sued by anybody. And it's a good way to get them all in your database. As I said, with take 3 or 4 pictures of the building if you want, take as many as you like. They all get added automatically when you do that. And that gives you something that doesn't change, right? In real estate, buildings don't change. They don't take the second floor off and make it a 3-story building instead of a 4-story building. They don't pick the building up and move it to another location. So it's a really good thing to do in times like this when things are a little bit slower, and it's something that you want to do anyway. You want to have your own catalog. I know you can buy the information. It's nowhere near as good as the information that you have. 30% of it might be right. When you buy that stuff, yours will be 90 to 100% right because it's in your backyard. So it gives you a big heads up over the other people in your area that aren't doing it. So I really suggest that you go out and take some time and build up your property database while we have this little slowness, and you'll be way ahead of the rest of the game. Some of the things that I'm going to show you are things that some of you may have known. I'm going to show you some new stuff too. The new stuff is always fun, but I find that a lot of these times on these calls we get people who have never used the CRM. They came from Outlook or Excel or some other CRM that was generic, and so they don't understand how powerful the product is and how it works. So I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk about that. We split up the program into several different tables. One table is properties, one table is contacts, and one table is companies. And those are the center pieces that most people are used to. They're not used to having the contacts and companies separated. So that's kind of like, why did he do that? The reason I did it is I may have 7 or 8 people all working at the same company. I don't want to create the company record 7 or 8 times. I want to create the company once, and then I want to put those people in that office. So that's why I separated the company table. So you could create a company record one time and then just put everybody into that office. If you're using Outlook, you can't do that. You have to create the company 8 times. And that's really a pain in the neck, especially when you want to search. From the property side, I didn't want to put people on every property. And the reason I don't want to do that is I want to know, let's say that I've got a John Smith and he owns 7 buildings. I don't want to put John Smith on 7 different properties. I want to link him to the 7 properties that he owns. That enables me to go to John Smith's record and see every property he owns or every space that he occupies or every listing that he's interested in. So the idea with RealNex CRM is you don't duplicate anything. You only enter a contact one time, and then you link that contact to the projects, the properties, the spaces, the comps. You link them to everything that they're a part of. And there's a fairly complicated answer as to why you do that, but just believe me, you don't want to duplicate the people or the companies or the properties. You want them in there one time and then use the link system to connect them together. I'll give you a couple of examples as we go through the webinar, but that's the gist of why we separate these tables. And the tables are here at the top where you see contacts, projects, companies, properties, spaces, lease comps, and sale comps. You can link all of those between each other as many times as you want. So one person could be linked to 35 sale comps, or one property could be linked to 10 sales. On these buttons, used to be when I first wrote this web version, you'd click a button and it would open that table. But what I found was there's many times when I need to stay on the record I'm on. For example, I'm on this Coldwell Banker record. I need to stay on that, but I need to see a property that they own. So I don't want to click the property button because that will just open up properties and I'll lose this contact. So what I did is I added a secret menu, and you're going to find this throughout the program, but you'll have no idea it's there. I can't tell you there's a menu there. You have to just right-click your mouse, and when you right-click your mouse, you'll find a menu pops up. In this case, things I could do with this company. Up here at the top where you have these buttons, you can click the button and it'll open properties, but you can also right-click on the button. And doing that gives you a menu. And one of the interesting things you can do here is say, open this in a new window. If I do that, it doesn't close the window I'm in. It opens the property in a brand new window, so I could do them side by side. I was on a big monitor, so I can show you this, but I'm on a small monitor, so I can't really show them side by side. You're going to have enough room. But you get the idea. I can go in and I don't lose the other table I was in. It stays there. And I did that again by just right-clicking. Instead of clicking the button, right-clicking and picking from the menu, open in a new window. You can do that with any of these. Something else that you can do that's very helpful. Let's say that I'm on a record and I get a call from Lou Nutter. So I don't want to leave the company, but I want to look up Lou's record. So instead of clicking contacts, and instead of right-clicking and opening contacts, I'm going to actually look below the contact button, and I see there's a menu option there, a drop-down arrow. And that gives me the ability to go in and search for a person, or search for a person and open them in a new window. That's what the icon's for. If I click this search, it'll find Lou, and it'll open his record, but it'll go on top of this, and I'll lose the company. If I hit this button, it'll let me search for Lou, and it'll open him in a different window. And you'll see those on every one of these buttons, those little arrows. So keep it in mind. There's a much quicker way to move around without losing your place. And when I was doing work, my goal was to get things done as quickly as I possibly could. So if I was in a transaction mode where I'm trying to go through a set of records and call people, I don't want to lose my place, but I still have to do other things besides call people. Then this is the trick I use. I don't actually leave this window. I go to another window, and that's why I added these menus on, so that I could do that really easily and really quickly. So as you're moving through the program, you might take a look, and you might try right-clicking on things, and you may find that there's a menu that does something a lot faster. Something that I added to the desktop a long time ago, I just added to the online version, and that's organizations, subsidiaries, and companies. And I want to spend a minute explaining those because not very many people understand them. It's probably not something you've ever seen before because other CRMs don't track it. But here's the reason I do it. I tracked a lot of companies that were part of an organization. So in this example, I'm using Coldwell Banker Commercial. There could be any type of company, but not a company with one office. It's going to be something like Campbell's. Campbell's is an organization, but they have a bunch of subsidiaries. Blosick Pickles, Pepperidge Farm, Campbell's Soup, there's a ton of them. Those are all subsidiaries under the organization Campbell's. So I wanted a way to keep all of those together so I could look them up quickly and find everybody that's under Campbell's or every office that's under Vlasic Pickles and every contact that's in those places, not just the office. So the idea is when you create a record, a company record, you give it an organization name, and in most cases, the organization is going to be the company name too, because they're so small, they don't have any other offices. That's okay. Just put them in as an organization. It'll automatically copy it into the company record, and they'll be the same name. But if you're adding a bigger company like I did here with Coldwell Banker, the organization was Coldwell Banker Commercial, and it would be for every single Coldwell Banker office there was. Under the subsidiary, I put whoever the entity is that's using that name. So in this case, it's a company called United Realtors. Well, United Realtors has a number of different offices. They're not just one affiliate. There's a whole bunch of them. So I can put this organization in for every United Realtors. This is the subsidiary, and then I can put whatever their name is for the company. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes they've got different names. And that's what I've done here. And as you can see over here on the left side, there's a whole bunch of organizations called Coldwell Banker Commercial, and look at all the different subsidiaries. Some of these own more than one office. United Realtors has two. There's more down here for United Realtors. So great. I'm going to this one office. It's this one right here. And they're in Houston. And they have 5 people there. I would like to see all of the contacts that work for excuse me, that work for United Realtors. So here's the new feature. When you're on the contact tab in the company, you can say this record, which says, show me the contacts at this address. Show me the contacts at this subsidiary. That will show me every contact that works for United Realtors in the window down below. So I'll switch that, and there they are. Now I've got a pretty long list, 38 people. So now I could mail to all of those people something about my open house or my property or whatever it is I wanted to do. How about if I want to see everybody that works for Coldwell Banker Commercial? Well, then I would use organization. So what that's doing is it's looking at every single company that is under the organization Coldwell Banker Commercial, and I now have 1,958 contacts. So I could now do a mailing to all of those. So you're obviously not interested in commercial real estate companies. This just happens to be my database is a bunch of commercial real estate. You're probably all in here, but you might be working with Subway or Chipotle or Vons, or who knows what it is, but it could be one of these organizations that has places all over, and you would like to be able to track those and map them, as well as find out who the contacts are. And once you're in this list of contacts, sort them by title and find out who's the president and who's the CEO and where are they located and which office is the corporate headquarters. So that's the idea behind this, seems like complicated organization subsidiary company. It's not complicated at all. Once you understand it, it's very useful. And in a lot of cases, it's not really an organization or a subsidiary I'm tracking, but I'm interested in tracking a certain set of records, and I want to keep them together. So I will use the same analogy to do that, and it works great. I did it for my Little League team. The organization was UC Little League, and then I had every team as a subsidiary, and then every player was connected to their team. And I was in charge of the Little League. So that was a way that I could find out who's the manager on this team, who are the players on this team, who are the team mom, all that kind of stuff. So you can use this to your advantage if you just think a little bit outside the box and use it for everything you do. And it really does work well for that. Let's take a look at something else that's coming. This is something that's going to come probably Monday. It's the same idea, same thing for this company I just was talking to you about. but let me show you what's new and you're going to be able to do. Here I'm on a record called West Coast Escrow. Let me blow this up. And I'm going to go into the subsidiary. And I can click in these rows and I can make a change right here in the row. I don't have to go edit the record anymore. I can change the name, and it's smart enough. Let's make this, instead of Curtis, let's make him Jim. Now, notice that he has a first name, a last name, and he has a full name. Over here it says Curtis A. Bounce. But when I change it to Jim, notice that it automatically changed his name over here too. So it's smart enough to change all of these things for you if there's, if they're in 2 or 3 different places. And you can sort them and then sort them. And by sorting them, you can find the problems where you have misspelled something and fix it right in this list. The other thing you can do is you can go to a record. So you can do this before, but what's coming that's new is the ability to go to the whole list. So I've got 6 people here. I can right click, don't forget that right click menu, and go to the linked contacts, and that's new. If you do that, it'll go to contacts and it will open up the contact window with all 6 of those people in it, so that you could then do something with those people. Besides call them, you could campaign and schedule things for them and all that kind of stuff. Send them to Excel, do something like that. So that's not in today. That'll be in on Monday. Then you'll be able to right click and do that. So keep watching for that. I talked a little bit about this last month, but it's such an important thing. I want to do it again. Most of my time, if I wasn't updating my database, was spent trying to find leads. And so when I'm talking to someone, like let's say I'm talking to Amy, let me open up her. If you haven't seen split screen, it's this little arrow over here on the side. When you click the little arrow, it splits the screen so you can see the full record like I'm seeing for Amy right now. And you can also see the list at the same time on the left. So you can sort of drive with the list, but you can see all of the information here. And if I'm talking to Amy, I want to know what projects she's interested in. Projects are, in this case, a project is a listing. So every time I get a listing, or every time I'm working on a specific deal, I create a project and I give the project the name of the deal. If I'm in tenant rep, my project would be the name of the tenant. I'm trying to find a tenant, a space. And my leads would be the spaces that I'm trying to show them. If I'm doing leasing, then my project would be the building that I'm trying to lease or the space that I'm trying to lease. And my leads would be contacts or companies that are interested in that space. So the projects are just the way that you track all of your deals. And then under those projects, you create leads. And those leads are the result. If you get a closure, that'll be the result, will be one of your leads, and that's how you'll close escrow. My goal then was to make it really quick for me to add someone to a listing as a lead. I don't want to change records, right? I want to go through this list and I want to call these 30 people and I want to see if they're interested in my listings. So I call Amy and she says, I'm kind of interested in Three Flags Plaza. Send me information. So I don't want to leave her record. I don't want to have to go to projects and do that. So here's how you do it. And this is really important. So, if somebody's talking, tell them to leave. On their record, right click on their name. And from the menu, you can add an event. That means you could schedule a call. If she said, call me next Tuesday, I'm busy. Click the add event. It brings up a window. You change the date to Tuesday. You say call her and you save it. And that just goes on your calendar and you're on to the next person. Set it. The beauty of it is I did not have to move off the screen. And I don't want to be distracted. I don't want to move. I just want to do my little thing and keep going. In this case, she says, I'm interested in Three Flags Plaza. I want to add her to a project. When I click add to project, it comes up and it says, okay, what project do you want to add her to? Now, I can search for projects if I want, hitting this button and say select a project, and then I can type in the project name and it'll list them all. But you don't have to do that, because that's another step. I don't want to go to dialogues. So I know my projects, I know my listings. She's interested in Genesee Apartments, so I'm just going to start typing it in there, and it automatically finds it for me. And I say, well, if you're interested in that, what about Balboa? Yeah, that sounds good too. Okay, let me send you that. Okay, what about King's Jewelry? Yep. So you see how quickly I was able to put her into 3 of my listings. And what will happen here is it will create 3 separate lead records. One of the lead records will go to King's Jewelry, one to Genesee, one to Balboa. So when I do my marketing report, she comes out as a lead to each of my 3 owners, but those 3 owners don't see that she's in the other 3 listings. They just see which ones that she's in their listing. I can make a note, but be careful, because remember, it's going to create 3 lead records and they're going to all say the same thing. So I don't want to mention anything in here about another listing. Just want to say has high interest or whatever it is, because I want to get them in as a lead. That's all I'm really doing right now. And then when I save that, if I go to the projects tab, and again, this is really important. So if you're falling asleep, slap yourself. When I go to the project tab, what am I seeing there? What I'm going to see there is every project that they're a lead in. It's all of the projects that they're interested in. A little confusing, because really what this is, oh, Amy is a lead in Balboa Office Park. She's looking to spend $6 million to purchase it, 50% probability. I get 150,000. She's also a suspect or a lead in King's Jewelry, looking for 4,500 square feet. So this is how I monitor each person's interest in deals. And in my case, I had a team of 10. Well, no, 9. I was the 10th guy. So anybody on my team could take a call from Amy, and when she said, "Is Tim there?" No, he's not. Shoot, I'm looking at King's Jewelry, and I say, "Yeah, I see that. Are you interested in it?" Yeah, I am. I'd like to tour it. Now, this is one of my helpers or my partners or somebody on my team that's taking this call. They can just click here and change this to tour. And that goes out in the calendar. Everybody in my office knows now that she wants to tour it, or she did tour it, whatever the outcome was of this, and they go on with their business. So this is really important to keep our team together and to keep me from having to go jumping all over the place. I want to be able to go to projects and just update her or add her to a new one or take her out. She says, "Yeah, I'm not interested in Three Flags Plaza. I looked at it. I don't like it." So I can just change her result from active to lost or not interested or whatever it is. And so she stays on my report, and my owner sees that she dropped. And what do I want to do? I want to make a little comment about why she dropped. So when I click on the comment field, the notes, it brings up a full window now. And in that window, you can timestamp it, you can do fonts, you can whatever you want. It's a full window that makes it so easy for you to add notes in here. And this will show up on my marketing report. Dropped because it was too expensive, which you may not think is important. But I'll tell you, the marketing report is just as useful to try and get your owner to be realistic as it is to show them who wants to buy or lease or whatever it is, the deal you're working on. And I would always make a note as to why they dropped, because I would then sit down and say, I've shown this to 90 people. Here's the 90 people. Here's the ones that are sticking with it. Here's the ones that dropped, and here's why they dropped. And if it was because it was overpriced, it's not me saying it's overpriced. It's every client I show it to is saying it's overpriced. That really helps me get my seller or my lessor or whoever it is in line with what the market is doing. And if you really want to lease this space or you really want to sell this space, this is what they're saying about it. I got people that will do it, but not at what you're asking for, or it's beat up or it's run down or whatever it is. Just you use the marketing report to do that, and it's just a really big part of your day trying to track this information as quickly as you can. And I've made it really easy for you. Say just right click, add a history. When you add a history, I say, what's the project? Oh, so I don't even have to go to a project. I can just type it in. It was for Balboa Office Park. And you put in whatever they say, and you put in the date, and you can also do a follow-up right from the history. Drove by, liked, sent package. And then I want to follow up with that. So I hit follow up, and it copies everything I put into the history. So I don't have to type anything else. I can just change the date. They said, let's meet on Thursday, 2 p.m. That created a calendar and event. That created a history. That history automatically went to my marketing report for my owner, and it shows up on everybody else's report that's interested in this deal. And I didn't leave my list. I go to the next person in the list. I do the same thing. I keep doing this. Every day my goal was to make 60 calls. I tried to make 60 calls, and obviously I didn't do it every day, but the more calls I made, the more successful I was, and I needed to document it, and documenting it is critical. If you don't document it, it just goes into thin air and you lose it. So I would suggest that you try to get used to this system, try to get used to doing this right-click stuff, figure out what you can do without moving off the screen. And if you do need to move off the screen, remember, you don't just click the button. You can right-click and go into a new window. And if you have two monitors, it works great. You can have one screen on one monitor and one on the other, and you start getting really quick at this. Something I added a couple weeks ago, but it's pretty cool. We're in the process of making everything inline editable. That means you'll be able to click on every one of these fields and change them right here without going to a dialog. But for now, the inline editing is only available from the auxiliary tabs, which are these tabs that are tied to the contact or the property or whatever it is. All of these are auxiliary tabs. So anywhere in here, you can go to a tab and you can just click on a field and change it. You can also do that in the dashboard. Dashboard, you have history, events, projects, and leads. You can just open up those tabs. You can click on a field and you can make a change to it. That will eventually be in all of these main tables as well. Probably another 3 or 4 weeks before I finish it all, but you're going to see it coming out in companies in the next 2 weeks, and we'll just start moving through these records as we get it available. But what is in here now is the ability to edit notes right from the list. So let me show you how you design these columns. Another really important thing, and this is something you can do now while it's a little slow. At the top of these, we have a button that says columns, and you can click that. It says you can edit your columns. Okay, so I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to add notes in here. Under basic, find the field and add it to the list. You can move it around in the list if you want to. You can take fields out of the list if you want to. Now this is probably something I will use all the time. I probably don't care about. Maybe I care about city. I'll leave that in. But I'm going to use this list quite often, and I want to see the notes. So I'm going to save the list. And I hit save, and it says, okay, what do you want to call it? Contacts with notes. Okay. Here's the critical part. I want to use this all the time. I don't want to have to go through 7 keystrokes to implement it. So I'm going to say like it, add it to my favorites. What does that do? Well, I'll show you what it does. It's pretty cool. I'm in this list and I want to switch to my notes list. Now is all I have to do is click the column button And look what appeared on there. Contacts with notes. Just click it. I don't have to go through all those dialogues anymore. Now you need to set these up one time, but once you set up the list that you're going to use, you just have to click the column button and push it. So I have a set of lists that are designed for my phone because my phone's not wide. So I have much smaller lists, but I use them all the time and I don't want to have to keep redefining them on my phone with my fingers. Same for my iPad. It's not quite as big as my monitor. So I've designed these different lists and I've named them appropriately. And anytime I want to switch to that list, I just go to columns and it's usually right there. You can see how many I have. I use this quite a bit. Okay, so looking at notes, here's the new thing that I added. I want to make a note for, well, there's one. Let's just use this one that's here, Amy. So I just click on the note column and immediately opens up that pad so I can see the full notes in all the formats, and I can add a new note and say okay and go to the next person. I don't have to open up a dialogue anymore. Saves a ton of time, and it works in every single table. That note features everywhere. Just have to add it to the columns. You can do the same thing that I did with columns for filters. So I'm going to go up and say, okay, there's a filter I use all the time. And you can see I've already defined filters, but I'll show you how you do it. I'm going to show the filters so I can create a new filter. I'm going to say email. Oh, here's something else. You don't have to pull down all these windows trying to find a field. Just type in the name of the field. I'll find it for you. So I just typed in email because I don't want to try to find it. And then I click it. Is empty. These are all the people that don't have an email address. So when it's slow, I'll try to go through and gather people's email addresses. Another one I'll use all the time is last verified. When was this record verified? And I'll sort them by that date so I can find all of the people in my database that nobody's called in a long time. Great way to resurrect old contacts that you did deals with and you just haven't talked to in a long time. And then I'll save that filter so I can reuse it. Works the same way as columns. Save, give it a name, and like and favorite. So it goes to your list. You don't have to keep refinding this. If it's a query you don't use very often, don't bother saving it. Just run it, and you can type it in the next time you need it. Someone was asking me, I have a fairly complicated query, but it changes all the time. So it doesn't really do me any good to save it. I said, well, what's the query you use? Well, I look for property type, but I look for retail, office, and industrial. It changes, and I look for a size range. Okay, but you still should save that. Let me show you how it works. Show filters, select field, property type, and then just say equal to, and put any value you want in there to start with, industrial. It doesn't matter what value. And building size between, and then just put in anything you want for this to save this. It doesn't, you can put in the one you use the most often and save it. And like it. Okay, so now when I come along and I need to use that filter again, I click the button on filter and it's already there. And it's all I have to do is go in and change the values. I don't have to recreate the filter. This time I'm looking for 5,000 to 20,000. That's all I got to do and say search. So I've made it a lot easier for me. And some of these filters can get pretty complicated. So designing them takes more time than it does to call somebody. If you can just pull the old filter back up and then just change the variables, but never change the filter itself, it's really quick. So try to remember that on columns and filters, you want to set up the ones that you use all the time and save them, and then like them so that you can reuse them over and over again. And again, all of this is based on me saving time so I can make more calls and get more done. Let's take a look at another product, something I've spent a ton of time on, and that's what's called, it's called Market Edge. If you haven't seen it, it replaces quite a few products. It's a way that you can analyze properties if you care to. Now, a lot of people don't analyze properties, but they will do packages. Let's say, like send out a package on a flyer about your property or your space, that kind of a thing. And so that's what this does, along with the marketing side. And I spent quite a bit of time creating new cover pages. So a cover page is what would go on the front of your package or your flyer. And these will all be coming out on Monday. I'll just give you an idea of what they look like. They're really beautiful. You don't have to do anything. You have to add your property in here, but you can add the property right from the CRM. In the CRM, there's a button that says send it to Market Edge, and it just shows up in here with all the tenants and all of the information. And then when you go in and want to do a package, I hit this button here that looks like a little pencil and says proposal, and it pulls up your colors. So these colors are just some color I added, but you can put in your own company colors in here, and all of these colors will change to match your company. But here's what's great about it. All of this is editable. So I can change the property description to something else. I can change the background color of this. I don't want to ruin my brochure, but I can change the text color. I can add how many paragraphs I want, so I can have as many as I like. I can change the widget as well. I don't want a paragraph here. I want a map. Okay, right here is the map. You can just hit this button and decide what you want in that spot and put a map there. I can update the map. I can change the size of it. I can make it into a satellite map. I can push it around on the screen. In the summary, these are all coming from your fields in your property. These fields are just ones that I put in there, but you can select whatever fields you want from your property and stick them in just by hitting the checkbox, so they'll show up in the window. All of these are editable. So let's say that available square feet, I want to change that to vacant. You get the idea. You can put in anything you want. You can change the values as well, and it doesn't mess up your property. That's not going to mess up my analysis or my record in my database. I'm just doing this for a package that I want to send to somebody. So all of this stuff is changeable. All of the photos can be resized. I'm going to zoom in on one part of this. They can be moved around and locked so I can get the part of the picture that I want in there. And all of these are free. So up here at the top, we have a whole bunch of different cover pages. These are all portrait pages. We also have landscape pages, and that changes the package to a landscape view. All of these tiles down here, there's 80 of them or something. I'm not going to go through these, but one of the newest ones we've added are lease analysis tiles, available spaces. So I can now make this into an available space package. And one of the widgets you can add is right here, available spaces. And you can select which spaces show up in that just by clicking them in the income tab. And you can also change all the values in here to whatever you want to put in here. These are all the same thing. They're all just widgets where you can just drop something in there. Whatever you feel is important to put there. And you're sort of designing your own page as you go along. Along with available spaces, we added customizable pages. And I'm not going to explain these. They're pretty easy to understand, but I'll show you one. Customizable page, you design it yourself. Okay, page options. This is what the page will look like. No. Yeah, that's the one I want. I want to have 2 photos, and I want to have a map, and I want to have a bullet list. Okay, pick that, and then just drop in what you want. I want a photo. I want a photo. I want a map. And I want a bullet list. It works the same way. You can have how many bullet lists you want, what color do you want them to be, what's the title, what's the bullets, and so on. All of this stuff is designable by you. So if you haven't looked at this, you should take a look at it, because from here, you can market this. You can create a package. You can put the package online. I have no idea what this will look like, so it's ugly. Sorry. This is just what would the PDF would look like. In this case, I've got a portrait version, but landscape's really popular too, so you could do landscape as well. And you can either create a PDF or you can put it online and just send a link out. And anybody that gets the link can click it and view it online. And you can also, if you've used the link, you can make a change to the package and republish it, which will then give you, anybody who has the link will see whatever's new in it. Jeff, can you guys still hear me?
Loud and clear, Tim.
Okay, I'm not sure if I was losing my internet. One of the negatives to this coronavirus is now everybody on my neighborhood is at home watching movies, and they've destroyed my webinar. So it's telling me my stuff is slow. So anyway, I'll keep going, and hopefully I don't lose you guys. We did the same thing with email templates. So let's take a look at some of those from listing sources. So when you're in the listing service, if you have your listings in here, and if you don't, you can add your listings right from the CRM. There's a button in the CRM that says add this as a listing, and it goes into the listing page, and anybody that searches for properties for sale or for lease can see it. So from here, I can manage all my properties, and I can do an email campaign. So let's say I pick this one. And some of you may have seen this, but you may not have looked at it in a while. We give you all of these templates. I added another 6. They're towards the end. So here's one. Here's 3 more. And these templates work as email. So they work in Outlook or Google if you want to email out a package to, say, 100 people in your CRM or 1,000 people, or to our database. We have a couple of different databases as well. You can pick the cover page if you want. It's a single page. It pulls all the information in from the property, but it's the same deal. You can change it to whatever you want to change it to. It works the same way as what I just showed you. And then when you send it out, it tracks the email for you. So you can send it to, say you pick 1,000 people in your CRM. It'll tell you everybody that opened it, everybody that bounced. It'll tell you everybody that looked at it and how many times they looked at it, every link they clicked on and how many times they clicked it and when they clicked it. And all of that can come right back into the CRM. So this is sort of, we're combining what most people have is they have 5 or 6 programs and they pay an arm and a leg for all of them. It's all part of RealNex and it all works together. So if you're using an outside product to do mailings like Constant Contact or Gmail or something like that, the only way you can get the results back is if you do an export out of those products and then do an import into yours, and good luck doing that. This just has it built in, so you don't have to mess with any of that stuff, and it's really cheap, especially if you buy the whole suite. It ends up saving you a ton of money. Coming on Monday, we're revamping the web pages. I want to spend just a minute on that.
Tim, before you go there, just a couple of things. There are a couple of questions, and I think before you just get out of the program, if you could show the custom branded templates in Market Edge. There's questions about that, which the answer is yes, we can. If you send us a sample package, obviously I think our templates are beautiful for many companies to drop in their logo, their colors, that's going to work. But where your company has a custom designed look and feel that you want to adopt to make sure we match, we can take your, if you actually looked at that one, that's an NAI format with a little notch in the block. But we've got custom branding that's available in Market Edge, as well as
You
in Marketplace. So we can create the email flyers for you, totally customized and branded. Those saved templates at the top would be those formats for different companies. You would only see yours, obviously, but you'd have those custom brands, and that's
these are
something.
some that we developed for somebody. They just sent us a picture of what they want, and we just design it. So
Yep.
the only difference is all the information in here will change, but the layout will be the same. So I don't know. We have hundreds of those. I don't keep them in my things, too
If you
many of
could
them.
go
But
to Market Edge and show the selection for those as well. And then the one other question was on cloning a filter. If you can show how to clone a filter.
let's see if I can get back into staging. So this is exactly the same thing. When you go to a property, if you've had us design a cover page for you, it'll be at the very top. These are some that I've designed for different companies, and they just told me what they wanted, and then I just create it for them. So this is their design, and they do what, same thing every time. Just use their logo would be different than RealNex. Who is this for? I forgot who it
Cushman.
was for.
It's Cushman.
I don't know if I have their logo
And
in
just
here.
go to white. Just go white CVRE. Make it all fine. A white.
Anyway, you get the idea. It's the same deal. You can just type stuff in here. So that's all it is. Just your cover page will show up at the very top, and then under your cover page will be all the free ones that I designed, and you can pick any ones you want. Some people have just called in and said, I really like this design, except I want to add something right here in the middle. So we just take this page and we customize it for them with something in the middle, and that's all. I only have 2 agents, so I don't need 3, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The logo is pretty much up to you. You can just upload your logos and put them into the package. And then let's see if I can publish again. I ran out of bandwidth when I tried a minute ago.
From a cost standpoint, it's very inexpensive. The custom branding for the Market Edge is $3.99, which is the cover page and the interior pages, which need to be modified. And if you want us to customize the email flyer, it's $1.99. So very simple and efficient process. Just send us your look and feel, and we'll match it. Another question about, can you upload your own templates in Marketplace? You can design your own HTML or image and attach that to the listing, and that can be uploaded for that specific project, but it's not a template that would be used over and over. You would have to sort of design it offline and then load it for that project. So for email, you can do that. For the templates inside of Market Edge like this, we need to design them and load them for you. But all the looks that we have are loaded with the product, and they will adopt your color scheme and your logo placed appropriately on the page. But if you need a custom look, we can do that for sure.
So that's what it looks like if you upload it to the web or print out a PDF. These will be a PDF, and if they're on the web, it looks similar to this. Interface is slightly different, but it's the same idea. And this is so small you probably can't even see it. But when you get into a bigger size, they start looking really nice. It's a real professional looking output.
Thanks, Tim.
Coming on the web.
Some things on the website while you're going there. The question about social distancing. What are we doing? We actually have a number of things that are just fundamental in the platform, which are enhancements all the time, but particularly now. One of them, we just actually put out a blog post today with our affiliate Pix, which is 3D virtual reality. So virtual tours, we think, is not something that's just a fad. It's something that's actually going to be a growing trend in the market where virtual reality and 3D models will enable tours to take place remotely much more efficiently than driving in market. And with virtual reality, you can actually market space that doesn't exist. So projects being built or floor plates that are going to change, we can showcase and model those. And that's, I think, a great advantage, particularly in this type of environment, but the environment that will be the future that we're all dealing with, as well as our collaborative transaction management tools to work with online tours and our tour book app, and the ability to collaborate across client and on either tenant and leasing side. A number of different tools like that that connect you with your clients are built into the system very efficiently. But the 3D model is particularly one that you might want to take advantage of. Tim, what did you want to show here? Let's turn it back.
Just what's coming to help you find things in case you're bored and you want to learn more about the products that you purchased. On the main page, you don't even have to be logged in. You can go to media, and on this media page, scroll down a little bit, you can see the latest news that we put up. So these would be, a lot of these are things like somebody wrote up, did you know that we just added the ability to create your own disclaimer in the packages? So we have disclaimers, but they're generic disclaimers I wrote. Now you can write your own disclaimer and use it for all your packages. So you write it once, put your own company disclaimer in there, and it shows up on all your packages. So there might be a film on that, and you can go and see all of the different ones that have been posted. You can go into press releases, industry news, and even things like videos. So if I go to videos, that takes me to the latest video, those videos that were posted. So these are the last 3. But I can also just go to the whole videos. It's not a store, video, whatever it's called. And that'll show me every single video. Yeah, the library. That'll show me every video there is. So if you want to bone up on some of the stuff the program does, you can go in here and watch a video on how to do something. I don't know. They're all over the place. How to add something in, how to add a contact, how to create a list, how to export your stuff. So good thing to know. It'll be there Monday. It's not there yet, but you just go to the home page, and on the home page you'll see these buttons, and one of them is media. And you click media, that takes you to the page where you can get to all of these different things, and then learn how to use the program or see what's coming. So a lot of this stuff is stuff I put up there about, this is what I'm working on right now. You'll be able to do this in 3 weeks, that kind of a thing.
Tim, before we wrap up, I've covered a lot of ground. Just one of the questions we didn't cover was, can you save as the filter? Can you change the name and tweak it?
Yeah. Yep. Every time you hit save, it creates a new one. Every time you hit save, it creates a new.
So it's basically cloning it just by saving it as a new name. So that's the answer. I know that one of the.
Yeah, you can. Every time you save, it creates a new one. It doesn't save the old one. It just creates a new one. So if you hit save 4 times, you'll have the same filter 4 times, and you have to go delete 3 of them.
But if you save,
so you're basically cloning it. Every time you save it, you're cloning it.
So just change it and save it. Change it and save it, and that will give you multiples.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was just going to show one other thing that I added in here to make it easier for. This is for people that have more than one user. So let's say that my company has 4 people in it, and I have the license. I'm going to my settings. It's that little man here on. I'll open this up so you can see what I did. I hit the little man in my settings, and in here I can put my information, which you do once and you should do it, because on reports that you send out, if you have listings, this stuff comes up when people look at your listings, or if you do a marketing piece and your picture's in there, I pull it out of this information. So it's a good idea to put this in here. We don't use it for marketing your names, it's just for you. But under the company side, if you're the owner of the the administrator for this for your subscription or your company, which I think I am. We'll find out. Yeah. So in here, I have the company information. I can add the company logo, and that means anybody that's part of my subscription will just automatically inherit this. They don't have to mess with it. But then I can go down here to where it says company administration, and I can add people to my company and invite them to come in. So these are the people that are part of my company. And I can go to add invite a user, put in their email address. It lets me fill in all their information if they're not in our database already. And this email address doesn't exist. That's why it's not in here. I can put in their photo. I can fill in all of their information and then send them an invitation. They'll get an email that will say, Tim Cray invited you to join his company, and they accept, and then they're in your company, and they can start adding listings. If you have a subscription, they can access the software that you have a subscription for, like the CRM or Market Edge or whatever it is, and they don't have to do anything because you've already put all their information in for them. And the same thing's true if you already have a subscription and you have lazy brokers. They'll all be in here in this list. You can hit edit, and you can update their information for them. Add the photo for them, or have whoever your marketing person is, just go through your agents and get everybody's photo in here and their titles and their license and whatever is applicable, along with being able to set their rights. So let's say in this case, this guy, I want him, this isn't a marketing assistant, and I want them to be able to see all of the listings. So under Market Edge role, instead of manage only their own properties, I can switch it and say, let them manage all the company properties. That just means that that person, when they go into the properties, they'll see everyone's listings, and they have the ability to update all of the listings instead of making the brokers do it. For a broker, you probably only give them access to their own listings, but if you have an administrative person or people, more than one, you can give them rights. Same thing under a marketplace, you can give them different rights. So it's new. It's actually been in there for about a month, but if you didn't know it was there and you have a company and you want to get everybody on the same page, it's a nice thing to do. You only have to do it once. And same thing's true for subscriptions. If you go to the subscription tab and you have purchased, say, 4 licenses for Market Edge or 4 CRM licenses, you can decide who gets to use those licenses, who you want to shut off. Somebody leaves your company, you go in here and you can go to your license and you can say, I want to take this guy out, or I want to add a new one in. You can see I have 3 assigned licenses and I have 14 unassigned. That means they're in my company, but they don't have a license yet. So I want to give a license to Bobby. I can click here and assign a license to him. And now he'll be able to use, this is the CRM, so this is the suite. So he'll have access to Market Edge, the suite, 10.8, tours, tenant rep. He'll have access to everything. And I have control over who can do that and who can't do it. And I can throw people out at the same time. If I take them out, they're done. They can't get into my data anymore. And I get the license back and I can give it to somebody else. So just take a look at it. It's under My Settings. And under My Settings, there'll be a company tab. That's where I showed you those users. And there'll also be a subscription tab where you can add people if you have extra licenses. You have to have a license to add somebody. You can't add somebody if you only have 1 license. That's all you can use. You can't add 2 people to 1 license, but you can get more licenses, and it's a good time to do it. Some guy I was talking to just added somebody for this time so they could start beefing up their database. Get who it was, somebody that was well known. Anyway, they just hired this person so they could sit at home because they lost their job and they can't go anywhere. So they pay them $10 an hour or whatever the minimum wage is, and they're just sitting there entering all these properties into the database for the guy so that he can still make calls. So pretty simple way to do it. I don't even think they're in the U.S. I think they're in another country or something. Okay, Jeff, I'll stop because I'm sure people are going, oh my God, this guy's never going to shut up.
There's so much to cover and such great stuff. Thank you, Tim. Thanks, everyone. We did cover a lot of ground. We went a little bit long, but appreciate everyone's patience and endurance. I know we're hungry for information and value, and we're looking to give you as much as we can. So thanks for joining us today. If you have greater interest and want even more, we've got the two brunch with Bobby sessions next week. Sign up on online for those. Look for, there'll be another posting about that tomorrow to register, and check out the Facebook user group, register for that. Again, more opportunities to share information. We will have an invite out quickly for the next user group coming up next month, and the recording of this session coming out early next week. So trying to give you as much as we can. If you have questions and ideas about ways to use the product better that you'd like us to cover in future user group or the brunch series, let us know. We'll do our best to address them and keep you well informed as we continue to enhance the platform. So we break now. We wish you all well, and stay safe and healthy, and look forward to a great recovery and a strong return to the market. So thanks again. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everybody.
Shout out to Nick and Neil, Enon, Jeff, John, Louis. It's fun to see you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.